The morning sun filtered gently through the thin bamboo curtains, painting warm lines across the floor. The air smelled of guava and fresh earth, the scent of a peaceful life that Huyen had fought so hard to build. In the small yard, Maya's laughter echoed as she tried to catch the soap bubbles her mother blew. Her giggles rose like music, melting away the traces of pain that once haunted their days. Huyen smiled softly, her hands still wet from washing the morning dishes. "Be careful, my little one," she said, her voice calm and tender. Maya turned around and ran into her mother's arms, resting her cheek against Huyen's chest. "Mom, Uncle Des said he'll be back early today. He promised to bring sweets." At the mention of Day's name, a quiet warmth spread through Huyen's heart. He had become more than a friend, a quiet strength who filled the emptiness left by years of hardship. Together, they had built this humble home from scratch, one plank of bamboo at a time. Every corner carried a story of patience, healing, and love. The afternoon breeze swayed the banana leaves. Everything seemed perfectly still, perfectly safe. Yet, behind that peace, destiny was preparing to stir again. From the dirt road at the foot of the hill, a stranger's shadow appeared, moving slowly toward Huyen's home. The sound of footsteps grew louder, heavier, echoing in the silence. Maya stopped playing. Huyen looked up, her heart suddenly tightening for no reason she could name. When the figure finally came into view, Huyen's breath caught. Her hands froze. Standing before her gate was a woman she thought she'd never see again, her former mother-in-law. The color drained from Huyen's face. Her fingers trembled. The memory she had buried deep inside the cruel words, the humiliation, the night she was forced to leave her husband's home came flooding back. The woman's eyes, sharp and cold, scanned the little yard, the worn house, and finally rested on Huyen. "So this is where you've been hiding," she said slowly. Her voice was calm, but each word carried a weight that made Huyen's heart tremble. In the distance, thunder rolled softly, as if the sky itself sensed what was about to begin a new storm. The afternoon light dimmed as dark clouds gathered above the small village. The quiet hum of cicadas faded, replaced by the uneasy stillness of an approaching storm. Huyen stood frozen by the bamboo gate, her pulse racing, eyes locked on the woman who had once called her daughter-in-law. "Why are you here?" Huyen finally asked, her voice trembling though she tried to sound calm. The older woman stepped closer, her sharp eyes filled with accusation. "You've hidden long enough," she said coldly. "You think you can just leave my son, take his child, and live a peaceful life like nothing happened?" Maya, sensing the tension, clung to her mother's skirt. Her big, tear-filled eyes looked up in fear. "Mom, who is this lady?" Huyen knelt down, holding Maya tightly. "It's okay, my love," she whispered, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. But inside, her heart quaked. The woman's gaze softened slightly when she noticed the little girl, but it quickly hardened again. "So this is her, Maya," she said. "She looks just like him." Huyen's lips pressed together. The words felt like a blade. "Please," she said quietly, "we don't want trouble. We just want to live in peace." The woman crossed her arms. "Peace? You call this peace? You ran away from responsibility from your family? Do you know what shame you brought upon us?" Huyen took a shaky breath. "I left because your son hurt me," she said, her voice breaking. "I had to protect Maya. You saw what he did, you know." The woman's eyes flickered a flash of something that looked like guilt, quickly buried under anger. "Enough," she snapped. "You have no right to speak like that. My son may have made mistakes, but you destroyed this family. You'll pay for that." Maya burst into tears, wrapping her arms around her mother. The sound pierced the heavy air like a cry for mercy. And then, as the first drops of rain began to fall, the old woman took a step forward. "You will come with me," she said. "Now." Huyen stood her ground, though her legs shook beneath her. "No," she whispered. "Not again." The wind howled through the trees, and somewhere in the distance a motorbike roared faint, but drawing closer. A single thought flickered in Huyen's mind, fragile yet burning with hope. Maybe Day is coming home. The storm broke loose. Rain poured down in heavy sheets, turning the small yard into a blur of mud and water. Huyen tried to pull Maya inside, but her ex-mother-in-law grabbed her arm with surprising strength. "You're not going anywhere until you come with me," the old woman shouted over the thunder. Her voice trembled not from weakness, but from years of buried rage. "Let go of my mother," Maya cried, her small hands tugging desperately at the woman's sleeve. Her tears mixed with the rain as she screamed, "Don't scare my mother anymore. Uncle D is coming." The words cut through the chaos like lightning. The old woman froze for a moment, startled by the little girl's voice, trembling with both fear and defiance. Huyen knelt and held Maya close, shielding her from the downpour. Her heart ached as she whispered, "It's okay, my love. It's okay." But deep inside she was breaking. The past she had tried so hard to escape had come crashing through her door again. The ex-mother-in-law's expression wavered. The sight of the trembling child, clutching her mother's soaked dress, stirred something deep inside her, a flicker of shame, of confusion. You really think he's coming?" she muttered, her voice quieter now, though her anger still lingered. "Yes," Maya shouted through sobs. "Uncle D always comes. He never lets us cry alone." Huyen's eyes filled with tears. That simple sentence from her daughter pierced her heart. In the innocence of a child's words lay a truth more powerful than any argument love protects, even when the world doesn't. Suddenly, the distant sound of a motorbike grew louder, echoing through the storm. The familiar sound filled Huyen's heart with a desperate kind of hope. The old woman turned, squinting into the rain. "Who's that?" she asked sharply. Huyen rose slowly, clutching Maya's hand. Her voice was calm, but there was fire in her eyes. "It's the man you've been trying to erase from our lives," she said. "And he's the one who's about to remind you what family truly means." The thunder rumbled again, but this time, it sounded like the heartbeat of something stronger: faith, love, and protection. The rain fell like a curtain, blurring the world into shades of gray. Through the roaring wind came the sound of a motorbike engine, steady, powerful, and full of urgency. Huyen turned toward the sound, her heart pounding. And then, through the mist, she saw him, D. His shirt was soaked, his hair plastered to his forehead, but his eyes, those familiar, steady eyes, were full of fire. He stopped the motorbike just a few meters away and ran toward them. "Maya! Huyen!" he shouted, his voice cutting through the storm. Maya let out a cry of joy. "Uncle D!" She broke free from her mother's arms and ran to him, splashing through puddles. D caught her, lifting her up even as the rain poured down. "You're safe, my little one," he said softly, kissing her wet hair. "I told you I'd always come back." Huyen stood frozen for a moment. Relief flooded through her, mixing with the tears she didn't realize she'd been holding back. But the ex-mother-in-law wasn't moved by the reunion. Her eyes burned with pride and bitterness. "So, you're the man everyone keeps talking about," she said sharply. "The one who's keeping my daughter-in-law and granddaughter away from their rightful home." Dee turned to face her, still holding Maya protectively. "If home means fear, if it means cruelty, then this is not the home they deserve," he said firmly. His voice was calm, but his words struck like lightning. Huyen stepped closer, trembling but brave. "Mother, please," she said softly. "I just want peace. Maya needs love, not shouting, not pain." The old woman's face twisted, torn between anger and confusion. You think you can replace her father? You think you can erase the past? She spat. Day didn't respond right away. He looked down at Maya, who was clinging to him, shivering but smiling faintly. Then he looked back at the older woman and said, I don't want to erase anything. I only want to protect what's left, what's pure. For a long moment, no one spoke. The only sound was the rain pounding on the earth, washing away dust, anger, and tears. Finally, the old woman turned away. Her voice cracked. You'll regret this, she said. But her steps were unsteady as she disappeared down the muddy road. Huyen exhaled shakily. The tension slowly lifted from her shoulders. Dee turned to her and whispered, It's over now. But Huyen looked at him with tear-filled eyes. No, Dee, she said softly. It's only beginning. The next morning, the sky was clear again. The rain had washed the world clean, leaving the air cool and soft. The stream beside the house sparkled beneath the sunlight, and the smell of wet earth filled the air. Inside the small bamboo house, Huyen quietly poured warm tea into 2 cups. Her hand still trembled a little, but her heart was calm now. Maya was sitting outside, feeding Bye-Bye with leftover rice. The little dog wagged its tail, happy that peace had finally returned. Dee was repairing the door that the wind had damaged during the storm. The morning light touched his face, revealing the tiredness in his eyes, but also something deeper. Peace. Huyen looked at him silently for a while. Then, in a gentle voice, she said, Thank you, Day. Day turned surprised. For what? For coming back, she whispered. For standing up for us. For not letting me face everything alone. He smiled faintly, setting down the hammer. Huyen, I promised I'd always protect you and Maya. No storm could ever stop me. At that moment, Maya ran in, holding a small handmade paper flower. Uncle Dee! She shouted with pure joy. This is for you. Dee bent down, smiling. For me? What's the occasion? Maya grinned. Because you're my hero. You saved Mommy. Dee took the flower carefully, as if it were the most precious gift in the world. His eyes softened, shimmering in the sunlight. Thank you, Maya. You don't know how much this means to me. Huyen watched the scene, tears quietly filling her eyes. She turned her face away, pretending to arrange the cups, but inside, her heart was full. The storm outside had ended, but so had the storm within. In that little house, surrounded by love, they found what they had all been searching for: peace, family, and the quiet promise of a new beginning.